The reverse bucket list. Is this something you still do? And what does it entail?
Yeah. The reverse bucket list is something I do. Oh boy, do I ever do it. And it took me too long to figure this one out. When I was 50, I'm 59 years old. When I was 50, I found my bucket list from when I was 40. You know, it was a classic thing. And on my birthday, I would make a list of my desires and my ambitions. And I would imagine myself, visualize myself consuming or experiencing these things. And it would fire me up and make me, well, kind of feel like a loser, quite frankly, because it was lowering my sense of satisfaction, I subsequently found out. And I looked at that list from when I was 40. And I checked everything off that list, and I was less happy
Oh, no.
at 50 than I was at 40. I'm a social scientist, so I thought to myself, obviously, I'm doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong? And basically, this is the problem. This is a neurophysiological problem and a psychological problem all rolled into one handy package. I was making the mistake of thinking that my satisfaction would come by having more. And the truth of the matter is that lasting and stable satisfaction, which doesn't wear off in like a minute, comes when you understand that your satisfaction is your haves divided by your wants. Haves divided by wants. That's the model. So, it's like I'll slow down because I know people watching you like, let me write that down. Haves divided by wants. You can increase your satisfaction temporarily and inefficiently by having more, or permanently and securely by wanting less. I thought to myself, so what does that mean? And the answer to that, what does that mean, is I need a reverse bucket list. Not that I'm not going to get nice things in my life, but I'm going to be consciously detached from them by going through the exercise of writing them down and crossing them out. So on my birthday now, my 59th birthday, a couple of months ago, I wrote down all my ridiculous ambitions and desires of money or whatever, power, ambition, admiration, all these things that I want from other people that we all want because we're human and Mother Nature wires us to accumulate the rewards that'll help us survive and pass on our genes. I got it. I know how evolutionary psychology works. And I know that these things are going to occur to me as natural goals, but I do not want to be owned by them. I want to manage them. I don't want them to be like phantasms in my limbic system managing me. I want to move the experience of these ambitions to my prefrontal cortex, which is my executive manager, the bumper of tissue right behind my forehead. And the way that you do that is by looking at each one of these ambitions and saying, maybe I get it and maybe I don't, but I'm going to cross it out as an attachment. And I'm telling you, Tim, I'm free.
And so you find that to work.
It works. It works. It works. It does not because you don't care about it, but because you're not attached to it in the same way. You've made the decision to have it not be a rootless desire, a ghost in your head. You've made it into something that you will consciously manage by literally experiencing that ambition in a different part of your brain.
So you go through this exercise. So you write down whatever it is, receive such and such an honor,
right.
Sell so many copies of book X, whatever these are.
All the stuff that guys like you and me do.
Right. And then you have 37-inch arms, in your case, possibly. You're incredibly fit. I'm not hitting on you. I'm just saying I aspire to...
You're a beautiful man too, Tim.
Well, we go to the same stylist for our haircuts, but I would say we will maybe get to like self-care and physical practice later. You go through this exercise, you write those things down, you cross them out in a sort of idol worship sleight of hand move.
Right.
And then following that, I'm curious, if there is the spark of this desire, whatever it might be, do you have self-talk or something that acts as an interrupt?
I keep the list.
You keep the list?
I keep the list, and I go back and I look at the list, just like I would look at my bucket list. Later, every 6 months, or every year, every 10 years, whatever it happens to be, I go back and look at my reverse bucket list and say, am I living up to this? Am I truly conscious?
Am I living up to not being attached?
Am I practicing the detachment that I committed myself to? And the truth is, usually, yeah, kind of. I mean, the phantasm will be back. It will be flying around in your head again. But you brought it to your prefrontal cortex for a reason. And your prefrontal cortex is an adult and will govern the children. But sometimes you have to remind yourself, remember, look, I mean, you're an adult here. And you look back on it and you say, and it's funny. Actually, it's pretty amusing when you look at it and you say, oh, I can't believe that thing is bugging me again. but you're not governed by it in the same way. You know what I actually put on my list? I was reading,
and it's just for clarity. So it's okay to have the goal and to have it as a target and plan for it. Let's say selling X number of copies, but not to have that hungry ghost attachment to it.
It's nothing more than an intention. Intention is fine, but attachment is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the Dalai Lama talks about too. He talks about intention without attachment. There's a word in sailing, the rum line. In Spanish, rumbo, which is a lot more common in normal everyday speech. And what it means is it's the intention of your voyage. You have to have that, even though you're not going to be true to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know, you're just going to be going in circles. You'll just be like, I don't know, I've been out to sea for a long time. Who knows where I am? It'll be like one of your vacations. Where it's like, I don't know where I am. I'm just like doing nothing, man, it can be therapeutically important, but it's actually not the way that you get from Europe to the Americas.
You need a location and your endpoint on the GPS.
But if you're super attached to it, then you're going to freak out when something throws you off.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, you're not going to recognize the fact that it is the voyage itself that is the adventure of life, not actually reaching the particular destination, whether it's the original one or one that turns out to be better or worse or wherever you wind up. And that's the way you got to live your life. So it's intention without attachment.